Yo, welcome to this training. Your dopamine baseline is why habits and deep work feels hard. The reason why it feels hard to do certain things like habits, deep work, the things that you have to do to scale your income, to just like live a better life, to be more disciplined, is just because of your dopamine system. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly why, how, and also how to fix your dopamine baseline so that the deep work, the habits, they start to feel easy and natural, just like they should. So this is a guide to resetting your dopamine baseline so that deep work stops feeling painful and discipline stops feeling like a fight. So this is Dopamine Nation. 5 principles from Dopamine Nation. Number 1, pleasure and pain run on the same neurological seesaw. Every hit of high stimulation gets followed by an equal calm down. So if you do something very stimulating like doom scroll, you're spiking the dopamine system, and then obviously the more of a spike, the more of a drop. Enough repeated overstimulation drags your whole baseline down. As you continue to like do things like scrolling, junk food, entertainment, and all that stuff, what happens is like over time, your baseline goes down and down and down, which means that you need more stimulation to feel you're normal. Number 2, your brain doesn't measure your life against some fixed scale. It measures it against your own recent average. Your brain compares what you were going to do to what you did before, right? Think about 2 scenarios. Scenario number 1, you're scrolling for 3 hours, and then you need to sit down and do the deep work. Just think about that. It's going to be really hard to sit and focus and do the deep work. Another scenario, you just sat down and you stared at a wall for 10 minutes, and then you did the deep work. Or you spent the last 3 hours reading, and then you sit down to work. It's going to be much, much, much easier and much more smooth. So after enough high dopamine input, ordinary life starts to feel unbearably flat. Number 3, stepping away from a compulsive behavior for a defined stretch of time is often the fastest way to reset your sensitivity to ordinary things. Number 4, modern environments are engineered for constant, easy dopamine hits, which means a calm, understimulated baseline isn't the default anymore. It has to be deliberately rebuilt. And number 5, choosing short-term discomfort on purpose, cold exposure, hard exercise, real boredom, this can actually raise your capacity for satisfaction over time. Doing hard things trains your dopamine system, and it regulates it in a way which makes it easier to do the hard things. This is like, in a way, it's like training a muscle. You just get better and better. It is the opposite of what constant comfort does to you. Now let's talk about the dopamine baseline. I'm going to explain this. Your dopamine baseline can be defined and described by the following things. Number 1, the gap between your resting state and what it actually takes for you to feel normal or satisfied. Number 2, how numb, ordinary, unstimulating things feel to you right now. Think of those things, those like normal things, like walking, preparing some coffee, just silence, deep work, reading a book, sitting down by yourself. How do those things feel to you? That is an indication of your dopamine baseline. If these simple things, they feel super hard, that means your dopamine baseline is high, right? Which means that your dopamine is unregulated. But if those things feel normal, then your dopamine baseline is regulated. Number 3, how much stimulation you need to feel like something is happening. Do you need to constantly be stimulated and do something, or can you just sit and do nothing, basically? And number 4, what you reach for the second you feel bored, even if it's for just 10 seconds. Do you like reach for your phone instantly? Or maybe you reach for like messages or like something, or do you just allow yourself to just be there? That is an important thing. And the last thing over here is how much friction sits between you and cheap instant relief, right? If it's just so easy for you to open your phone, to access what you need to access, and like to just escape, then it's going to be more of that, like that's going to be more of a theme in your life, which is you're just going to escape again and again. You're going to get used to like escaping. As soon as things get hard, as soon as a task is hard, as soon as you're sitting at a traffic light and you're bored, you instantly escape. You open Instagram, you open whatever app, you open your phone, you check something, and bam, you escape. And this is like stimulation. This is like high stimulation. And all these things have shaped your current baseline, which is exactly why deep work either feels natural to you or feels really, really, terrible. Cheap stimulation equals lost depth. The more cheap stimulation, the more high stimulation you have in your life, the less depth you can focus. The less you'll be able to focus, the less you'll be able to do the habits. Everything just feels harder. Every high dopamine hit you take in, a short video, a notification, a quick scroll, it bars against your capacity to sit still and go deep later. The fast content makes the slow content feel unbearable. And the constant hits make silence feel like something is wrong. The instant relief makes anything that takes effort feel like a punishment in a way. So to fix your relationship with deep work, you don't need more willpower. You need to lower how much stimulation your brain thinks is normal. And that is your dopamine baseline. Now, what actually resets your baseline? This is what resets it. Remove the highest dopamine inputs first. Scrolling, processed sugars, constant notifications. Just like remove those big things that are spiking and inflating your dopamine system. Number 2 is sitting in boredom on purpose instead of immediately filling the gaps. Just like allow yourself to be bored, allow yourself to sit down and do nothing. Set a timer for 15 minutes, stare at a wall, just like look outside the window, and lower and reset your dopamine baseline. Number 3, choosing hard, uncomfortable things. When you have like voluntary pain, which means that, you go do pull-ups, you do some exercise, you go for a run, you do like hard, deep work, all of this stuff resets the scales and it like resets your dopamine baseline as well. So choose to do hard, uncomfortable things voluntarily, since discomfort on the front end raises your capacity for satisfaction later. And also giving it real time. The reset doesn't happen instantly. The first week or 2 are usually the hardest. That's why I recommend as well to all of my clients to do a dopamine detox to start off, just to reset that baseline, to make it easy to just get the work done and just do what you got to do. So noticing what normal actually starts to feel like, again, once the noise clears. Once you like reset your baseline, once you identify that you've been overstimulated this whole time, the next step is simple. The next step is understanding that just chilling, being alone, like doing mundane things, doing boring things in a way, that's actually normal. Like think about the 1950s. Think about like 50, 100 years ago. It's like they didn't even have to do a dopamine detox because their life was a dopamine detox. So like do that thing right now. You don't have a discipline problem. You have a baseline problem, a dopamine problem. And no amount of willpower fixes a rigid baseline. So why does this actually matter? Because if your baseline is not where it has to be, no amount of discipline or willpower is going to fix this. You're basically fighting your own brain and neurochemistry every single time you try to focus. It's just going to be hard to focus. If most of your day is filled with short videos, notifications, and quick, constant hits of stimulation, then deep work isn't going to feel hard because you lack willpower. It's going to feel hard because your brain is comparing it to a dopamine spike it simply can't compete with. Now, this is actually the first pillar of what I coach inside the discipline mentorship. Now, before we even touch systems or habits, we reset the baseline first. Dopamine rewiring, identity shifting, and focus mastery. Those are the 3 main pillars. Because nothing else is going to work if you don't have the foundation. And those things are the foundation. So reset the baseline before you try to fix the behavior. The goal isn't zero stimulation forever. Like you can't live long term and just do dopamine detox all the time. It's good to enjoy things. So it's just about rebuilding your tolerance for the ordinary. It is about doing a temporary phase where you have very low to zero stimulation in your life just to reset that baseline. So ask yourself right now, what is the first thing you reach for the second you feel bored? Is it your phone? Is it opening a tab? Is it listening to music? Is it, just watching a series or like opening Netflix? What is that? What would it cost you as well to just sit in that boredom for 60 seconds instead? Every time you have a trigger to check your phone because you're bored, because you're stressed, because you're confused about the work, like think about a version of you who just allows that urge to be there and they don't act on it and they just be bored for those like 60 seconds. What would happen? What would change? You can't out-discipline a bad baseline. You have to actually lower it first, and then discipline gets way easier because you're no longer fighting your own brain chemistry every time you try to work. 2 scenarios here. Scenario number 1, the person in the scenario number 1, which is like person 1, fills every gap. They wait in line, walk somewhere the second before they sleep. In the car, waiting for traffic, they just check their phone, they open their phone, no matter where they are. If they're in a cafe, waiting, checking, they're like always stimulated, right? Number 2, this version feels a low hum of restlessness the moment there's nothing to consume. They sit down to do the deep work and they last 4 minutes before reaching for their phone. And then they blame themselves for having no discipline and they never question the baseline underneath it, which is the real problem. Scenario 2, they let boredom exist without immediately reaching for something. They allow boredom to sit. And they notice restlessness as information, not an emergency to fix instantly. They sit down to do the work, and the first 10 minutes are hard, but it gets easier, not worse. And they understand that discipline was never the missing piece, the baseline was. The difference isn't self-control, it is that one of them is fighting a rigged baseline every day and the other one actually fixed it first. So the takeaway here is that deep work doesn't feel hard because you're weak. It feels hard because your brain has been recalibrated by constant, cheap stimulation to expect way more than reality can give. So you need to lower the baseline first. Everything else gets easier after that, not before. So if you've tried the discipline route, it just hasn't stuck. This is probably why. That's the exact first pillar we start with inside the discipline mentorship, which is one-on-one coaching with myself to help fix your dopamine baseline, to make deep work easier, realign and shift your identity to make it more in alignment with where you want to be. So the actions that you have to take to get there, they feel natural and part of your identity. And thirdly is environment engineering. Basically, we take your environment, we do environment audits, time audits, distraction audits. We find everything that is holding you back in terms of like this thing is stealing your focus. Maybe your circle, maybe it's your environment, maybe it's your desk, maybe it's a combination of these things. We just ruthlessly dig into your environment, find out what's sabotaging your focus, what's making it harder for you to just focus, do the deep work and not get distracted. And we remove those. We use the systems in place and we fix your environment so it helps you succeed instead of sabotaging you and pulling you back every single time. Those are the three things that we focus on: dopamine rewiring, identity shifting, and focus mastery. There's a free training in the link in the description below that explains exactly that. So click the link in the description below, watch that training, and then fill out the application there if you want to go deeper and receive one-on-one help from myself personally to fix your dopamine baseline, improve your discipline, shift your identity, so you can finally do the deep work, the habits, the routines consistently so that you can scale, live a better life, build your business, and just live the life that you want to live. So see you in the next video. Take care, and you got this.